How stillness becomes magnetic in a world that never stops. The power of masculine stillness. Have you noticed how loud the world's become? Everyone's talking, posting, shouting to be heard. But in all that noise, something rare has been lost: stillness. Not laziness, not passivity. I'm talking about true, grounded, masculine stillness. The kind of presence that doesn't need to prove itself. That doesn't chase attention, because it already holds its own. You've seen it before. A man walks into the room. He says nothing, but everyone feels it. That's not luck. That's not ego. That's mastery. And that's what we're diving into today. We're going to explore why this silent strength, this masculine stillness, isn't just attractive to women. It's magnetic to life itself. We'll draw from ancient Stoic wisdom, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, to show you how to train this quiet power from the inside out. If you're tired of chasing, performing, over-explaining, this is your moment to reclaim something far deeper. Because stillness isn't weakness, it's command. Let's begin. Part 1. The world chases noise. Stoic men create silence. You ever notice how loud everything's gotten? Men are being told, do more, say more, be funny, be flexible, be romantic, be confident, all at once. And if you're not constantly performing, somehow you're not enough. But here's the truth most men never hear. Real strength doesn't chase attention. It radiates from stillness. The Stoic man, he doesn't need to fill every silence. He doesn't need to convince anyone he's good enough. His presence speaks long before his words ever do. There's this quote from Marcus Aurelius I keep close. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And that's the key. Stop trying to prove. Start embody. You see, once a man stops craving validation from women, from the world, even from his own past, something powerful happens. He becomes an anchor in the middle of a storm. And let me tell you, in a world where everyone's reacting, panicking, scrolling, shouting, that kind of stillness, it's rare. And what's rare becomes valuable. Now think about dating. You're sitting across from her. She suddenly goes quiet. She throws out a curveball of emotion, maybe even tests you with a bit of drama. Most guys, they panic. They start talking too much, explaining, apologizing, fixing. But the man who's grounded, he doesn't flinch. He holds frame. He breathes. His energy says, I don't need to impress you. I know who I am. And that's where the real attraction starts. Not in the flashy words, not in the forced smiles, but in the unshakable presence that says, I'm not here to win your approval. I'm here because I already approve of myself. That's something she can feel, without you needing to say a word. So let me ask you, have you ever felt that kind of stillness inside you? Or maybe seen it in another man and thought, yeah, there's something about it. That something is what we're building here. And it doesn't come from more noise. It comes from silence, built on purpose. It comes from restraint, not because you're afraid to speak, but because you've already said what needed to be said by the way you show up. Part 2. Stillness isn't weak silence. It's inner control with strength. Let's clear something up. Stillness doesn't mean silence. And it definitely doesn't mean weakness. Some guys hear the word stillness and think of passivity. Like you're just standing there, saying nothing, doing nothing. But that's not what we're talking about. True stillness is active self-mastery. It's the kind of calm that comes from strength, not the absence of power. It's the man who could yell, but doesn't. Who could lash out, but chooses clarity. Who feels anger, desire, pressure, but doesn't let it run the show. That's not weakness. That's leadership. And women, they know the difference. Because they feel it. Not in your words, but in how you carry yourself. In the way you stay steady when things around you fall apart. Think about it like this. A man who speaks less, but his words land with weight. A man who doesn't react instantly, but responds with direction. That's the man people trust. And here's why it's powerful. Stillness is rare. We live in a world of overreaction, scrolling, arguing, proving, performing. But stillness, it signals a man who doesn't need approval to feel solid. It tells the world, I've got nothing to prove. I've got something to offer. That's a whole different kind of energy. It's not loud, but it's felt. It's not showy, but it's remembered. So the next time you're tempted to prove something, to speak just to fill the space, ask yourself, is this coming from clarity or insecurity? Because the more you train that pause, that moment between impulse and action, that's where stillness lives. And that's where a man becomes magnetic without trying. Part 3. How stillness becomes strength in everyday life. Let me ask you something. When life gets loud, when your job, your relationship, or your own thoughts start pulling you in 10 different directions, what do? Most men, they react. They yell. They shut down. They chase distractions, hoping something out there will make the pressure go away. But a man who's grounded, a man who lives by stillness, he doesn't get tossed around by every little storm. He becomes the anchor in it. In a world that rewards speed and noise, stillness is not weakness. It's power, quiet power. And here's what makes it truly valuable. You don't need a perfect life to find stillness. You build it in the middle of life's mess. In fact, that's the only place it really matters. The ancient Stoic Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And he was right. It's not the world that shakes most men, it's their minds. A Stoic man centers himself through daily rituals. A moment of silence in the morning, time away from the screen, intentional movement, simple disciplines that rewire how we respond to life. So what does stillness look like? In conflict, he doesn't raise his voice. He observes first, then speaks with weight. In rejection, he doesn't crumble. He learns, adapts, moves forward. When tempted, he doesn't follow impulse. He chooses what holds deeper value. And here's the part most men miss. You don't have to explain this to anyone. When you live it, women feel it. People sense it. Your calm becomes contagious. So let me ask you this. When pressure hits, can you pause instead of react? Try this. Pick one simple ritual each day that reconnects you to yourself. It could be a quiet walk, writing one sentence in a journal, even just breathing for 60 seconds without a phone in your hand. Because over time, those tiny choices, they build a man whose stillness isn't an act, it's who he is. Part 4. Stillness isn't weakness, it's emotional discipline. Most men were taught that silence means passivity, that being calm makes you less dominant. But the truth is, stillness is one of the highest forms of strength. Not the kind that needs to shout or prove anything, but the kind that holds firm, even when everything around is falling apart. When a man practices stillness, he's not avoiding emotions, he's regulating them. He doesn't run away from fear, anger, or temptation. He meets them, breathes through them, and chooses not to be ruled by them. That's what Stoicism is really about. It's not suppression, it's direction. You don't push emotions away. You channel them through clarity and discipline. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt your body tighten before reacting to someone's insult or judgment? That split second, where you can either explode or stay grounded. That moment is your training ground. It's where you either give your power away or own it. And the man who owns that power doesn't chase control over others. He masters control over himself. That's the kind of presence women feel in their bones. And trust me, they notice. Part 5. The silent man is a magnet for trust. There's a rare type of man who doesn't speak too much, but when he does, people lean in. Not because he's loud, but because his words carry weight. That man is usually the one who listens more than he talks. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't overshare. He observes. He understands. And when he finally speaks, it's with purpose. This quiet strength makes him magnetic, not just to women, but to people in general. Because silence builds mystery, and mystery builds trust when it's backed by consistency. In relationships, trust isn't built on words. It's built on how a man handles pressure, how he responds when things don't go his way, and how he remains grounded even when emotions are high. A woman may not be able to explain why she feels safe around a man like this, but she feels it. In his tone, in his steady eye contact, in the way he holds space without trying to fill every silence. And here's the irony. The man who doesn't try to impress anyone ends up being the one they remember most. Part 6. When a man is grounded, she feels it without a word. Here's something most men don't realize. You don't need to say a word for a woman to feel your presence. When a man is truly grounded, when he walks into a room not to take attention, but to bring peace with him, she notices. It's not about being quiet. It's about the energy behind the quiet. A woman doesn't need you to perform. She doesn't need flashy words or clever moves. What she responds to, deep down, is how safe she feels around you. Not just physically, but emotionally. Let me put it this way. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt calm around them? Like your guard came down without effort? That's what stillness does. It's the quiet confidence of a man who isn't chasing approval, who isn't looking to impress, who listens more than he talks, who holds his frame when others break theirs. That man becomes a mirror. She can feel herself more clearly when she's with him. She opens up, not because he pushes, but because his stillness invites her in. This is what most guys miss. They think attraction is about doing more. But in reality, sometimes it's about being more present, more emotionally rooted, more calm in the storm. That's what allows her to soften. That's what builds real trust. Not the loud gestures, but the grounded energy behind the silence. So ask yourself, when you enter a space, what do people feel? Do you bring noise or calm? Do you seek attention or offer safety? Because a woman may never say it out loud, but she feels it, and it speaks louder than words ever could. Part 4. Why women are drawn to a man's quiet presence and how to build it. Let me tell you something most men never realize until it's too late. Women aren't just drawn to words, they're drawn to presence. And presence doesn't come from talking more. It comes from inner stillness. You see, when a man is grounded, calm, and rooted in who he is, he doesn't need to chase attention. Attention naturally finds him. He doesn't force connection. Connection grows around him. That's the kind of man women feel emotionally safe around. Not because he's flashy, but because he's not easily shaken. Now think about this. Have you ever been in a room with someone who says almost nothing, but somehow everyone feels their energy? That's not charisma. That's emotional gravity, and it's built in silence. Women are naturally pulled toward men who have this quiet strength. Why? Because deep down, every woman is asking, can this man handle pressure? Can he hold space for my emotions without falling apart? And here's the truth. You don't build that kind of presence overnight, but you can build it. Start here. When you want to react, pause, breathe. Instead of defending yourself or trying to prove something, let silence speak for you. Instead of being impulsive, choose depth, stillness, intention. Practice this in the gym, in solitude, in uncomfortable conversations. And most importantly, stop explaining so much. You don't owe the world your constant commentary. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can say is nothing at all. In a loud world, be the still presence. In today's noisy world, everyone's trying to be heard, to be louder, funnier, more impressive. But here's the truth most men overlook. The man who truly captivates is the one who doesn't need to compete. His power isn't in how much he says, but in how deeply he observes. His value doesn't come from showing off, but from showing up, fully present, still, clear, unshaken. That's the kind of man a woman leans into without knowing why. That's the kind of man others turn to when life gets uncertain. Stoic stillness isn't about being cold or detached. It's about knowing who you are, so deeply that the chaos around you can't touch your center. So if there's one thing to take from this video, it's this. You don't need to be louder. You just need to be more aligned. Create space in your day for stillness. Practice breathing before reacting. Choose intention over impulse. And in time, you'll notice something strange. You won't have to chase attention, because the right people and the right women will feel drawn to your presence without you saying a single word.